Yo, what is up guys? Daleboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video really is just talk of a potential fight, and I'm assuming that it's a potential fight due to what went down this weekend, or this past weekend, should I say. Of course, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence had their fight. And on fight week, I believe it was the night of the weigh-in, there was a altercation backstage between Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant. Not sure what the circumstances were surrounding it, but Caleb Plant slapped Jermall Charlo, and it got a little hectic, no doubt. You know, sometimes when these things happen, I do question how legitimate they are. But it seemed pretty real. I know these two guys have spoken about fighting each other for the last couple of years or so. There's been talks back and forth, etc. But now, it appears that this fight is a real possibility. That video went somewhat viral. And you know how these promoters act when something like that happens, when there is controversy, or when there is beef, or when an altercation has happened. More than likely they'll make that fight next. So that's what I'm assuming here. You know, the smart thing would be to make this fight next, and to me in general, it makes sense. Now, Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant are two fighters in which I don't really appreciate all that much, to be honest. I've never really liked Caleb Plant's style, just not for me. A little too beta, if you ask me. And even outside the ring, I just find Caleb Plant to be a whiner, always moaning. I don't particularly like his energy. As for Jermall Charlo, again, don't really like him outside the ring. I used to rate him as a fighter way back when he was coming up at 154 and when he became champion. He looked like a real dynamic boxer-puncher, powerful guy, quick, you know, explosive. The way he dealt with Julian Williams back then really impressed me. Because believe it or not, many people were picking Julian Williams to beat Jermall Charlo. But Charlo put on a really good performance that night. And after that, I felt this guy would go on to have a really good career, you know, do things at middleweight, etc. But ever since that Julian Williams fight, it's not worked out for Jermall Charlo. He's moved to middleweight, and subsequently, he's not really done anything. Of course, he captured that WBC title eventually. He's got one good win at middleweight over Sergey Derevyanchenko. That was a solid win, and he boxed okay in that fight. But aside from the Derevyanchenko win, Jermall Charlo's not done anything since the Julian Williams fight. Bear in mind, the Julian Williams fight was December of 2016, and again, since then, his best win is Sergey Derevyanchenko. Aside from that, who's he beaten? Controversial decision over Matt Korobov, guys like Dennis Hogan, Hugo Centeno Jr. The guy's not done anything in recent years. And of course he's not fought since June of 2021. He's been inactive for over 2 years, and somehow he still holds that WBC middleweight title. So Jermall Charlo post Julian Williams, really his career to me has been a failure. I don't think he's really realised his potential, and quite frankly, I think the ship has sailed now. I don't think Jermall Charlo will ever generate that sort of legacy, you know? But regardless, despite me seeing him as a disappointment, there are still fights out there. How competitive he would be in these fights, I'm not so sure. Again, he's been inactive for over 2 years, plus there's been rumours of mental instability outside the ring. In his last fight against Juan Macias Montiel, he looked pretty terrible, if you ask me. But despite that, he still has name value. And for me, when you talk about Jermall Charlo, to me there's no more interesting fight than Caleb Plant for him. Aside from that, who do I want to see Charlo fight? I don't have any faith this guy is going to do anything in the middleweight division. I'd rather see Jermall Charlo vacate that title, go to 168 and restart there. Again, I think it's too late for Jermall Charlo at this stage. I think he's wasted his prime years, but a Caleb Plant fight would be interesting. Even from a style perspective, Jermall Charlo is a boxer-puncher, I would say, whereas Caleb Plant is more of a traditional boxer-mover. But Caleb Plant does have his deficiencies, especially in regards to stamina in a hard fight. I think Jermall Charlo versus Caleb Plant could be quite interesting. Not that I rate Caleb Plant, but I would make him a favourite over Jermall Charlo at this point in time because, again, Charlo's just been super inactive and he hasn't lived for life, whereas Caleb Plant, yeah, he's been found wanting at elite level at 168 against Canelo and David Benavidez, but he showed in those fights he has something, right? He's been somewhat active, he's had big fights, and he's had major training camps recently, so I would make Caleb Plant a favourite just by the virtue that he has been fighting, he has been sparring, he has been training. But again, is there anything for Jermall Charlo at 160? I'd rather see him just go to 168 and have a non-title fight against Caleb Plant, because for me, again, there's numerous problems with the middleweight division, but he's been one. Holding up that WBC title, why hasn't he fought Carlos Adames yet, who's the interim champion and who deserves his shot? You know? I'd rather see him leave 160, let 160 regenerate, you know, Golovkin's gone, Canelo's gone, etc. Derevyanchenko's past his best. Let 160 regenerate, go to 168 and fight Caleb Plant. I think that's the best option for Jermall Charlo, and we'll see what he has in that fight because, again, Caleb Plant, he's a good boxer, but he's not the elite of the elite at 168, so if Jermall Charlo wants to actually, you know, resume his career and be taken seriously, I do think Caleb Plant would be a good start. It would be a good comeback fight. I don't really want to hear about tune-ups for Jermall Charlo. Since Jermall Charlo's been at 160, all he's had are tune-up fights, aside from Derevyanchenko, so I don't want to hear about tune-ups. He'll be too rusty, etc. Jump right in there with Caleb Plant, see what you have, and give us a fight in which is somewhat interesting. I'd be looking forward to it if Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant were to fight. I'd look forward to it. Plus, the build-up would be pretty funny, I would say. Two guys I don't really like, but, you know, they can make for some interesting press conferences, I would say. So yeah, Caleb Plant versus Jermall Charlo. I'm all for it. I'd like to see it happen next. To me, that's the fight that makes the most sense for Jermall Charlo. And who knows, should he win, maybe he could then get a Canelo fight, who is on PBC, if Canelo beats his brother, Jermell, which I think he will do. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think this fight is ideal? Do you think this fight should happen next? I personally do. I think Charlo needs to leave 160, vacate the WBC title, and basically start again. But anyway, that's my opinion. Share your thoughts below. Been your guy Delboy. Peace.